Do you feel the world pulling you in 1,000 directions? A mind that never rests, a body that feels foreign. This feeling is a signal. It is a call to return to yourself. Stay with me, because the final practice we will explore is the one that unifies all the others, and it is the key to lasting transformation. Mindful movement. We often see the body as a tool, or worse, as an obstacle. We talk about fighting our bodies to get in shape, to push through pain, to force it into submission. This is a mindset of conflict. It creates a separation between the mind, the I that is giving the commands, and the body, the it that must obey. But where does this conflict lead? It leads to injury, to burnout, to a feeling of being disconnected from the very vessel that allows us to experience life. The body is not a machine to be optimized, nor is it an enemy to be conquered. It is a sacred temple. It is the only home you will ever truly have in this lifetime. The question is not how we can force it to perform, but how can we learn to inhabit it with awareness and care? How can we listen to its wisdom? The first step is to change our entire understanding of movement. We must shift from the idea of exercise to the practice of mindful movement. What is the difference? Exercise is often goal-oriented and external. You have a target number of repetitions, a certain distance to run, a specific amount of time to endure. The focus is on the outcome. Mindful movement, however, is process-oriented and internal. The focus is on the experience of moving, moment by moment. It is the feeling of your foot connecting with the earth as you walk. It is the sensation of your muscles lengthening as you stretch. It is the rhythm of your breath as it synchronizes with the motion of your limbs. There is no judgment here. There is only observation. You do not need a special gym or complicated equipment for this. Your own body and your own attention are all that is required. It can begin with the simple act of standing. Can you feel the weight distribution in your feet? Can you feel the subtle sway of your body as it maintains balance? This is movement. When you walk, can you walk without the destination being the only thing on your mind? Can you feel the air on your skin, the way your arms swing, the coordination of your entire being in this seemingly simple act? This is not about walking faster or further. It is about walking with more presence. When you stretch, it is not about forcing a certain range of motion. It is about gently exploring the body's boundaries with curiosity and kindness, breathing into the tightness until it softly releases. This practice reunites the mind and body. In our daily lives, our minds are often elsewhere. We are eating while thinking about work, walking while planning the future, lying in bed while replaying the past. Our physical self is in one place, and our mental self is in another. This division is a source of great stress and inefficiency. Mindful movement is a powerful training to bring them back together. When you are fully present in your physical sensations, the relentless chatter of the mind begins to quiet down. The mental tension and the physical tension are two sides of the same coin. When you consciously release the tension in your shoulders, you will find that a corresponding mental burden also feels a little lighter. The goal is not to achieve a perfect form or to look a certain way. The goal is to cultivate a deep and intimate relationship with your body, to learn its language of sensation. Your body is constantly communicating with you. It tells you when it is tired, when it is energized, when it is holding stress. But are we listening, or are we drowning out its voice with our own demands and distractions? Through mindful movement, we learn to listen again. We learn to move in a way that nourishes and heals rather than depletes and harms. This is a profound act of self-respect. It transforms a daily chore into a moving meditation, a practice of returning home to yourself again and again with every single step. Conscious nourishment. In the same way we treat movement, we have turned the act of eating into a source of conflict. We are bombarded with information about what we should and should not eat. We count calories, we follow strict diets, we label foods as good and bad. This creates a relationship with food that is based on fear, guilt, and restriction. We are at war with our appetites. We eat not with joy and gratitude, but with anxiety. We eat quickly, distractedly, standing over the sink or in front of a screen, barely tasting what we are consuming. We have forgotten that nourishment is not just a mechanical process of refueling. It is a sacred exchange. It is an act of receiving the energy of the earth and transforming it into our own life force. To change your life, you must practice conscious nourishment. This has less to do with what you eat and everything to do with how you eat. It begins before the food ever touches your lips. It begins with an awareness of where your food comes from. Whether it is a simple vegetable or a grain of rice, it is the result of a long process involving the sun, the soil, the water, and often the hard work of another human being. To take a moment to acknowledge this, to feel a sense of gratitude for the life that is about to sustain your own, completely changes the energy of the meal. It is no longer just a commodity to be consumed, it is a gift to be received. This sense of gratitude is the foundation of conscious eating. When you sit down to eat, grant the act your full attention. This is a radical practice in our modern world. Put away the phone, turn off the television, and simply be with your food. Look at the colors, smell the aromas, feel the textures. When you take the first bite, chew slowly. This is not for some abstract health reason. It is so you can actually taste the food. How often do we finish a meal and barely remember what it tasted like? Chewing slowly and deliberately allows your body the time to properly begin the digestive process, and it allows your mind the time to register the signals of satiety. When you eat in a rush, you often eat far beyond what your body actually needs, because the signal that you are full has not had time to arrive. This practice is a form of deep listening. As you eat, pay attention to how your body feels. Not just the sensation of your stomach getting full, but the more subtle reactions. Does a certain food give you a feeling of light, clean energy? Does another make you feel heavy and sluggish? Your body possesses an incredible intelligence. It knows what it needs to thrive. The problem is that we have deafened ourselves to its wisdom with processed foods that are designed to be irresistible and with a culture of distraction that pulls our awareness away from our internal experience. Conscious nourishment is the act of relearning your body's unique language. It is not about following a universal diet plan, but about discovering the personal diet that allows you to feel your best. When you eat consciously, you are not just feeding your physical body, you are nourishing your mind and your spirit. The act becomes a meditation, a moment of peace and presence in the middle of a busy day. It dissolves the struggle and the guilt associated with food and replaces it with gratitude and awareness. You begin to naturally gravitate towards foods that make you feel good and away from those that do not. It is no longer a battle of willpower, but a natural inclination towards well-being. By transforming this fundamental daily act from a mindless habit into a conscious practice, you infuse your entire life with a greater sense of peace, respect, and vitality. This simple shift is one of the most powerful you can ever make. Cultivated stillness. Our minds are like a sky full of passing clouds. The clouds are our thoughts, our emotions, our memories, our plans. They drift in, they take a certain shape, they linger for a while, and then they move on. The fundamental mistake most of us make is that we believe we are the clouds. We identify with every thought that arises. If a sad thought appears, we say, I am sad. If an angry thought appears, we say, I am angry. We cling to them, we wrestle with them, we are carried away by them. This creates the inner turmoil that so many of us experience, the feeling of a mind that never stops, a monkey mind that leaps from branch to branch without a moment's rest. We try to fight the thoughts, to force them to stop, but this only creates more clouds, more struggle. The practice that changes this is cultivated stillness. And it is crucial to understand that stillness is not about creating an empty mind. A living mind will always produce thoughts. Stillness is about changing your relationship to those thoughts. It is the practice of realizing that you are not the clouds, you are the sky. The sky is the vast, open, unchanging awareness in which the clouds of thought and emotion appear and disappear. The sky does not cling to the clouds or push them away. It simply allows them to pass through without resistance. Cultivating stillness is the practice of resting in this awareness, of becoming the silent observer of your own mind. How do we practice this? In the beginning, it is helpful to set aside a specific time each day, even just for 5 or 10 minutes. Find a quiet place where you will not be disturbed. Sit in a comfortable but upright posture, one that embodies a sense of dignity and alertness. You can sit on a cushion or a chair. The important part is that your spine is straight, allowing energy to flow freely. Close your eyes gently, and then bring your attention to your breath. Feel the sensation of the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and the sensation of it leaving your body. The breath is your anchor. It is always happening in the present moment. Whenever you notice your mind has wandered, that you are lost in a cloud of thought, you gently and without judgment guide your attention back to the anchor of your breath. This is the entire practice. It is very simple, but it is not easy. Your mind will wander 100 times, 1,000 times. That is not a sign of failure. The moment you realize your mind has wandered is the moment of mindfulness. The practice is in the gentle returning over and over again. Each time you bring your attention back to the breath, you are strengthening the muscle of awareness. You are weakening the habit of being unconsciously carried away by your thoughts. You are practicing being the sky instead of the cloud. Do not expect to have a profound experience every time. The point is not the experience you have while sitting, but the way this practice transforms how you experience the rest of your life. By cultivating stillness, you create a small space of silence between a stimulus and your response. When someone says something that would normally trigger anger, you might notice the anger arising as a sensation in your body, as a thought in your mind. But you do not have to immediately react. You have a choice. This space is the source of all freedom and self-mastery. You become less reactive, more calm, more clear. You begin to see the patterns of your own mind with clarity and compassion. You understand that your thoughts are just thoughts. They are not absolute reality. This inner stillness becomes a sanctuary of peace that you can carry with you everywhere, a quiet center in the midst of life's inevitable storms. Purposeful rest. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness and sees rest as a weakness. Sleep is often treated as an inconvenience, a necessary evil that cuts into our time for productivity or entertainment. We work late, we fill our evenings with stimulating content from screens, and then we collapse into bed, expecting our bodies and minds to instantly switch off. When they cannot, we become frustrated. We see sleep as a problem to be solved, something to be hacked or forced. But this perspective misunderstands the fundamental nature of rest. Rest is not a passive state of nothingness. It is an active and essential process of healing, integration, and regeneration for both the body and the spirit. It is not wasted time. It is the sacred ground where renewal happens. To change your life, you must approach rest with the same intention and purpose as any other important practice. This is the practice of purposeful rest. It recognizes that the quality of your sleep is determined long before your head hits the pillow. It is determined by how you spend your evening, how you prepare your inner and outer environment for this crucial transition. Just as you would not expect to stop a speeding car instantly, you cannot expect a stimulated and agitated mind to find deep peace at a moment's notice. You must create a period of gentle deceleration. This means making a conscious choice to begin winding down at least an hour before you intend to sleep. This winding down period is a personal ritual. For you, it might mean turning off all electronic screens. The blue light they emit is known to interfere with the body's natural sleep signals, but more importantly, the content they deliver keeps the mind in a state of agitation, engagement, and emotional arousal. Instead, you could dim the lights in your home, signaling to your entire being that the day is ending. You might read a book, but perhaps something calming and philosophical rather than a thrilling novel. You could listen to gentle music. You might engage in some light, mindful stretching to release the physical tension accumulated throughout the day. The specific activities are less important than the intention behind them to create an atmosphere of tranquility. Equally important is the preparation of the mind. So many of us lie in bed, replaying the events of the day, worrying about tomorrow, or engaging in endless mental conversations. We carry the battlefield of our day into the sanctuary of our rest. A key part of purposeful rest is the practice of letting go. Before you lie down, you can take a few moments to sit quietly and consciously release the day. You might acknowledge the things that went well with gratitude and acknowledge the challenges without judgment, resolving to meet the next day with fresh energy. You can set the intention to release all worries, trusting that a well-rested mind will be far more capable of finding solutions tomorrow than a tired, anxious mind tonight. When you treat rest as a purposeful practice rather than an afterthought, you transform its very nature. You are no longer simply falling unconscious, you are consciously creating the conditions for profound restorative healing. You honor your body's need for recovery. You honor your mind's need for peace. The result is not just that you sleep better, but that you wake up with a completely different quality of energy. You wake up feeling truly restored, with a sense of clarity and inner calm that will serve you throughout the entire day. Purposeful rest is not about sleeping more. It is about honoring the rhythm of life, the natural cycle of action and release. It is a deep act of self-care that provides the foundation for everything else you do. Noble silence. We have explored movement, nourishment, stillness, and rest. Each is a powerful practice in its own right. But there is one final practice that weaves them all together, that deepens and empowers every single one. It is the practice that was promised at the beginning, the key to unifying your efforts and unlocking a more profound transformation. It is not something you must add to your life, but something you can cultivate by taking away the unnecessary. This is the practice of what is sometimes called noble silence. This is not simply about not talking. It is about the conscious and wise use of your energy, particularly the energy that is expressed through speech. Think of your life force, your vital energy, as a finite resource. Every day, you are given a certain amount. Every action you take, every thought you think, and every word you speak spends a portion of this energy. Now consider how much of this precious energy is wasted through our speech. We speak to complain. We engage in idle gossip about others. We speak to defend our ego, to seek validation, to fill an uncomfortable silence, or simply out of habit. Each of these acts is like a small leak, draining our vessel of its vitality. This constant output leaves us feeling scattered, depleted, and mentally cluttered. Unnecessary speech is a primary source of the exhaustion so many people feel. Noble silence is the practice of plugging these leaks. It is the conscious choice to speak only when your words serve a purpose, to be kind, to be truthful, to be helpful, or to express something of genuine meaning. This does not mean you become cold or antisocial. In fact, the opposite often happens. When you are no longer compulsively filling every space with noise, you become a much better listener. You can truly hear what another person is saying beyond their words, because your own mind is not busy formulating its next response. You become a space of peace for others to be in, and your presence becomes a gift. When you do choose to speak, your words have more weight, more clarity, and more impact, because they arise from a place of inner stillness, not nervous energy. This practice powerfully enhances all the others. When you practice noble silence, it is easier to practice mindful movement because your mind is not chattering about what you need to say later. It is easier to practice conscious nourishment because you are not eating and talking at the same time, but are present with your food. It dramatically deepens your cultivated stillness as you are no longer agitating your mind with constant external output. And it allows for more purposeful rest because you arrive at the end of the day with a mind that is less stirred up, less entangled in the dramas created by careless speech. Silence is the fertile ground in which all the other seeds of practice can grow to their full potential. It is a path of conservation and cultivation. By conserving the energy you would have wasted on meaningless talk, you cultivate a rich inner world. You begin to hear the quieter voice of your own intuition and wisdom, a voice that is usually drowned out by the noise. You feel more centered, more solid, more in command of yourself. This is not a restriction, but a liberation. It is freedom from the compulsion to react, to comment, to have an opinion on everything. You start to see that true power lies not in being the loudest voice in the room, but in possessing a quiet mind and a peaceful heart. This is the unifying practice. It is the container that holds everything else. These are not 5 separate rules to follow, but 5 expressions of a single intention. To be present, to inhabit your body, to quiet your mind, and to live in harmony with the truth of your own being. The journey is not to become someone new, but to uncover the peace that has always been waiting within you. This is the path of self-mastery, and it begins with a single conscious breath. I've been rushing through my life for so long, treating my body like a machine and my mind like an enemy. The concept of noble silence at the end just shattered my whole perspective. It's not about adding more to my to-do list, but taking things away. Thank you for this. I felt a sense of peace just listening.